What is good, you guys? Welcome back to the Heat Report, and welcome back to a brand new video about the Miami Heat, Heat Weekly. And in this video, we're going to be talking about trades on the Miami Heat's form over the last week. We've won 4 out of our last 5, but we lost against the Jazz in a pretty blowout fashion. Going to talk about why Pat Riley needs to start, making some trades, man. Before we even get into it, though, make sure y'all leave a like and subscribe. You guys absolutely killed the last video about Kyle Lowry. As I've even seen a lot of Raptors fans, and Raptors fan, Heat fan, doesn't matter what team you're a fan of. Like, everyone's welcome here. So if you got an opinion, leave it down in the comments. I really loved how everyone gave their thoughts about the Kyle Lowry trade. Just trying to build a community around here, and make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. I will be branching out, making an NBA channel too, because above all, I am a basketball fan, and I do want to talk about basketball in general, not just the Heat. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, I appreciate y'all killing the last video, man. You guys are the best. But let's get right into it. So the Miami Heat, when I recorded the previous video, I think we were on a 2-game winning streak. We had just beat the Knicks and the Wizards. We beat the Wizards and we beat the Knicks in Madison Square Garden, and then we beat the Knicks in American Airlines. We beat them in a very close game, very defensive, grinded out game. Kind of felt like a playoff game. Very, that playoff game was, that playoff atmosphere was there. You could feel it. And then we ended up beating the Houston Rockets on a nationally televised game where I was really impressed with the guys, how they came back. My player of the week for this week is Max Strus. Shout out to Max. The guy, he's a two-way player for us, and he's just come out of nowhere and just lit it up. Threes. His defense is actually a lot better than what I expected it to be. And he's sneaky athletic. Like that dunk against John Wall shows you that. And then we took an L against the Utah Jazz. And I do really want to talk about the Utah Jazz game because it really indicated the problems that the Miami Heat have in a nutshell. So the Utah Jazz game, we actually started off pretty well. We were up, I think we were up by like 7 or 8 points. 7 or 8 points at the beginning. In the beginning of the first quarter, I thought we really defended, locked in on defense. We came out the gate. We struggled to shoot the ball a little bit, but I think our defense was the reason why going into the halftime break, it was a close game, right? Now, as soon as the third quarter started, the Jazz went on a massive 18-0 run, if I'm not mistaken. And I think this is the problem with the Heat for this year in particular. Our offense is dreadful. Just to keep it real, our offense is terrible. And I think last year we had the 6th best offense in the NBA during the regular season. So something changed. And I know we missed Jay Crowder, but Jay Crowder didn't even get to Miami last year until the trade deadline. So even before the trade deadline, we still had a really good offense last year. So I don't know what the difference is, but there is a difference. And maybe we're missing some key players in and out. Still trying to figure out the rotations. A lot of new faces, Goran Dragic and Avery Bradley missing time. I don't know what it is, but something is missing, and it's not Myers Leonard. I don't want anyone in the comments telling me Myers Leonard was the reason we had the 6th best offense. No disrespect to Myers. Hope you heal up pretty well, bro. That shoulder injury, I saw the picture that he posted about his injury. It looks pretty rough, so hope Myers gets healthy, but he wasn't the reason we had a 6th best offense last year, just to keep it real. So these are some staggering numbers that are associated with our team. Obviously, everyone knows that Jimmy Butler is probably the most valuable player on our team. He's the most important guy. We go as he goes. And with Butler on the court, we shoot 44% from the field, and our plus minus is increased by 25. So it's a plus 25 on the court when he's playing. When he's off the court, we're shooting 13% from the field, and our plus minus is negative 23. Now, this is a stat that was from the Knicks game I think that it was made after the Knicks game, the first Knicks game. It was on ESPN. I had to take a screenshot of that, and because it was staggering. Like, 13% from the field when Jimmy Butler's off the court. Like, we're talking about how deep our team is. Like, there's no way that this should be happening. I know Jimmy Butler is he's a superstar in my eyes, but there's no way that we should be shooting 13% with him off the floor. And I think this is the problem with our team. This team, the Miami Heat, has a ceiling, right? And you could see it against the Utah Jazz. I thought we defended pretty well, but our offense, in the third quarter, it was just a matter of which team's offense would start clicking. And it was the Jazz's offense that started clicking, which is why they went on such a big run. The Jazz continued to play great defense as they did in the first half. And they forced a lot of turnovers. I really thought they shut down all of our offenses. Like, it's very easy right now our offense is very predictable. I think that's what I'm trying to say. It's dribble handoff, with Bam at the elbow, get shooters or cutters off screens or whatever. And if we're not running a dribble handoff, give it to Jimmy, dribble penetration, have some off ball action, open three. Like, this is been going on for a year now, and at some point we have to realize that the teams are going to catch on to this action. It's going to become predictable. Now, we have to diversify our offense, and I do think our offensive sets are fine. I just think the players that are in these sets, they're just too easy to defend. Duncan Robinson is a guy that, if you run him off the 3-point line, he can't really do much, right? And that's what teams have been doing. He's even talked about it. He said teams are defending me a lot better this year than they were last year because they know who I am, and the dribble handoffs are harder to execute this year because teams have caught on to it. And I think that is why he hasn't been the same Duncan Robinson this year as he was last year. Now, if you give him a sliver of daylight, he'll knock the three down, but he hasn't been able to get those clean looks that he had last year. I do think the addition of guys like Max Strus has helped diversify the offense, because not a lot of people are aware of who exactly Max Strus is. So it's kind of like a surprise package that Duncan was last year. And I do think that I think that with guys like Duncan and Tyler and Kendrick Nunn, these guys are very good. I don't want to say young, because Duncan and Kendrick I think are 26 already. But, as far as NBA years, they're still young, inexperienced players, right? But there's only so far that we can go with this current roster. And I think what Pat Riley, the front office, Eric Spoelstra, has to figure out is whether we want to build for the future and forget about, we can still be, playoff contenders, outside championship contenders, but let's be honest, with this team we're not winning a championship. It's very hard for me to believe that with this constructed roster we can beat a team like the Lakers or the Clippers or even the Jazz if they make it to the finals. I do think we can beat anyone out east. It's just those West teams that they're the ones that are going to be the real test. I do think that the West is better than the East. We all know that. So this roster has a ceiling, and Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra have to decide whether they want to let the young guys develop or whether they want to ship them out and get guys that can help you win now. Now, there are obviously pros and cons for each one. Letting the young guys develop obviously helps, the growth of Bam, Tyler, these guys who can, blossom into very good players. Precious, Duncan, and Kendrick are guys that can play their roles perfectly. But the problem with this is that Jimmy Butler, who is our best player, is 31 years old, and I mean, it's his prime is only gonna last for so long. I'm guessing 4 years, maybe 2 or 3. I don't know. There's no way that Jimmy Butler is gonna be able to play at this level. He's not LeBron, as good as he is. He's not. He's gonna decline at some point. So Jimmy Butler being on our team makes it very hard for us to build for the future, because he is a win now player. We brought him in to win a championship, elevate us to the next level. He's 31 years old. He doesn't fit the timeline of Tyler, Bam, unless Tyler blossoms into an all-star, which I'm not counting out. I do think Tyler has a great potential, Bam is already an all-star, so I'm not gonna count him in, developing of young talent, because Bam is an all-star already. If Tyler, Precious, these guys develop into all-stars, then we don't need to make a trade, and we don't need to. We can forget about developing for the future, because these guys are already developed. But currently, Tyler is still developing. Precious is a rookie. Duncan, there's only so much Duncan can do. He's not gonna become a ball-handling shot creator in one night. Like, his role is to shoot the ball. Guys like Max Strus, they can only do so much. KZ, Chris Silva, these guys are very raw players. Like, they're not developed at all. So, obviously it's good to have youth on the roster, but it's hindering our ceiling for now, right now. The having this many guys that we have to develop. Obviously we can do the other thing and trade some of these guys to get stars, like obviously Bradley Beal's off the market probably, but like a Zach LaVine or someone like that. If we are building for the now, we obviously lose the opportunity to see what this team can become in the future. In my opinion, if we win a championship, whether it's one championship or 5 championships, I don't really care like who's on the roster. So if we have to trade Tyler and we're gonna get someone that can help us win a championship, then so be it. I'm as long as, that's my opinion, as long as we win a championship, I don't care like who if it's a young guy, veteran, who's on our roster. I don't care, right? So but the only thing that some of y'all might say to me is that why take the chance of winning one championship when we can build for the future and potentially win 3 in a row, 4 in a row, build a dynasty. And I get that point, but I think that's too big of a risk to take, because you don't know how the league will shape up now. I do think this year the league is a lot more wide open than it has been in the years past. They're not like super teams. Like the Nets have, are probably the most stacked team on paper as far as stars, but they still lack a lot of things like depth and defense. The Lakers, as good as they are, do have their flaws. So do the Clippers. So there's no one team that you project to win it all every year. There's no dynasty this year like there was with the Warriors, with the Heat, with the Spurs, with the Celtics. You don't have that this year. So I do think the league is very wide open, and if one team moves the needle to get a guy like a Zach LaVine, like a Victor Oladipo, like whoever it is, Andre Drummond is apparently going to the Raptors, or whoever is, whichever star goes to a team, I think they could potentially become a favorite to win the championship. So I think this is the dilemma that Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, the coaching staff, the front office have to figure out, because like I said, there's only so far our team there's only so far our team can go right now. Now hopefully we get this dub against the Clippers. We do have to focus on the now and see how far this roster that we have can take us. But the trade deadline is March 25th, and that's a little bit over than the month right now. So time is running out for Pat Riley to make a move, and I really hope that he does. And if you were asking me, I'd like to get a shot creator next to Jimmy Butler that can create his own shot when the offense is not falling. It's almost like we live and die by the 3 when Jimmy Butler is not playing well, or if he's not there, because we don't really have a guy that can create his own shot. I thought the Jazz did an excellent job making sure that we didn't go into the paint, and I really thought we made some questionable decisions. Rudy Gobert was out early in the second quarter, and we kept taking threes. There was a stretch where we turned the ball over 3 times and missed 5 straight threes. That's 8 straight possessions where Rudy Gobert was not on the floor and we didn't attack the paint. That has to be something that we look at and say, whoa, like that shouldn't happen. Like Rudy Gobert is he's not on the floor. Like, why are we not attacking the paint? I get when he's on the floor you don't want to attack because he's such a good shot blocker and all that stuff, but it's just better decision making that we have to focus on. But bringing it back, I think the pressure is on Pat Riley now, and if we want to solidify ourselves in that contender mix, he has to make a move. Who will that be? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me, guys. Hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I really wanted to say this to get it off my chest, because I have been thinking about it for a while. I had to accept that, this team has a certain ceiling, and hopefully we can see, what this team ceiling is, or hopefully we can see a move being made to move the needle and push us into that contender spot in the Eastern Conference. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. As usual, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. You guys are absolutely the best. I'll see y'all later. Peace.